Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the Seawall podcast.
I'm Nick Greer.
I'm Noah Wright.
I'm Levon Dunn.
And I'm Matt Court. And we're going to interview Noah. And we're really uncomfortable right now, aren't we? It's like robots and meatball boot. So Noah played with Liberty. We got his ball here. He's now going to the Jackals. He was drafted first round and pretty excited about it. Actually, I'm bloody pumped. And I try not to cuss, so that's fun. Yeah. Noah's been around for a minute. Kind of seen it grow up a little bit. I mean, he's always been a very mild-mannered man. He'll smile by the end of it, I promise.
Where do I begin?
Oh, yeah. Let's go.
Before I get to that, I'll make a quick little clarification thing. I was drafted third round in the draft.
Looking it up.
Third round in the draft, but it's okay. I mean,
I'm sorry, buddy.
Number one.
It's all technically one round because they only televised one round. The
That's
rest
a good
of it went on
point.
Instagram, and then I'll watch the replays. But yeah, where did it start? So I started 7 or 8, 23 now, 15, 16 years ago. I played football for a year, and then my older brother Ian, who still plays, he got invited by one of his coaches, Pee Wee football coaches at the time, to come try rugby. And he went out, played a couple games. I went out, was watching, and I was like, whoa, I gotta try this. And the iconic memory that I have is I was on the sideline watching a game, just a kid, elementary school at the time, and Jeff Candler, who was coach for Liberty at the time, saw me just kind of throwing the ball around, kicking the ball around, and he goes, "You want to get in there?" And I was like, "Sure, but I don't got any shorts." So he grabs a pair of tape scissors from the med kit and cuts my favorite pair of jeans into shorts.
Jorts.
A total Bobcat style.
I just ran out onto the field with some jean shorts, and that was the start of it.
So you had some jorts, custom jorts.
Yeah.
And then I transitioned to the white shorts that said, "Hey, this kid's in white shorts. Don't tackle." You see my little feet kicking out every now and then. Rucks, just white shorts, his little feet, and then everyone's just looking around like, "What the heck?"
That's awesome. Matter of fact, going through, I was Facebook stalking you and got some pictures. They're going to randomly show up on the telly up there, and a couple of you being super wee with a bunch of the big boys, and one of them is him tackling one of the big boys too, and it's just, gold. Just gold. Well, your family's pretty big into rugby.
Yeah.
To say the least. Your dad and I, man, I could talk with that guy for hours, man. We just blab, 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 and just nerd out about rugby. They're pretty important in this role, isn't it? Like, to get you here. You had mentioned it earlier when we were shooting the gift, and why don't you elaborate on that?
Yeah, beyond what other people go through growing up playing high school sports, driving to all the games and helping me get everywhere. I guess the best example is, so I was invited to Dubai for the NAI, the North American Lions, when we went to Dubai Sevens for a U19, U20 invitational. And I got the call, and the second that I got the call, my dad had already made GoFundMe, had already reached out to people to get help, had already done all this stuff, because it's a big commitment to do, and he's already telling everyone, he's already doing everything he's put out for. Even I got a chance to tell other people. Everyone's getting messages, and my dad's already told everyone. And then I got invited to U23s last summer to go to Amsterdam, and I was one of the second rounds of selections. So they were like, "Hey, in the second round, we need a confirmation and all this other stuff by the end of the month." And I told my dad and my mom, and within a week, everything was good. They'd already gotten everything squared away, gotten flight, gotten all the stuff prepared, and it's just I wouldn't be here if it weren't for my parents, but also Merrick, my younger brother, and Ian, my older brother. I grew up watching Ian. I always went to his games. I saw him go through a lot of highs, go through lows, and it made me learn what my style of game is by watching him play. He's fast, elusive, he makes a lot of cuts. I'm more of a run through you, big, stockier play. And I would never have known that if I hadn't have watched him play, if I hadn't have watched him go through everything. And then I watched Merrick play, and I never realized it until now, but I sort of have an understanding of what Ian goes through. You're always trying to grow because you always have to set the precedent. And if I didn't have Merrick there, I wouldn't have had a precedent to set. I could have just been the younger brother that's just skating along, making mistakes, but now I make mistakes and I have to learn from them, because if I don't learn from them, Merrick won't learn from them.
Yeah, that makes sense, sincerely.
So, question. So you talked about what kind of a player you are. So I also Facebook stalked you a little bit and saw that. So when you were at Central, you from freshman to senior year, you were scrum half, and then you're transferred over to a wing. So kind of run me through how different that the field looks from you, and kind of what your mindset was why did you transition out to the wing, and kind of what does the field look like for you?
Yeah, so I played scrum half in wing, I played both of them throughout the year, but I played majority of scrum half the first 3.5, 4 years. I would sub out to wing during games, but I would start at 9. And from 9, you're just a field general. You're kind of just, you got your front line, you got your line and defense, and then you're just kind of roaming around the back. And I mean, I did pretty well at it. I liked it. I enjoyed it. Just kind of having that commanding and everything have to go through me. But honestly speaking, it's a very boring position to me because I played center and fullback and wing and fly half in high school, and then I went to 9, and I have to be a game driver, but I don't get a lot of chances to run. But I mean, I took advantage of whenever I could run, and that sort of kind of set me apart from other 9s. We'd have a dual kind of like a really run physical 9 and then a very skill and pass heavy 9. And played 9, but like I said, I played wing and fullback in other games, especially the games when we would have 2 in 1 week or when we were really banged up and we were like, hey, no, you got to play 15 this week. Okay. And then my transition to wing, playing more wing, came because we had a lot of injuries my first senior year. And they're like, hey, no, we got 2 other 9s that do really well. Like, we just want to throw you on the wing, we'll just have you play wing. And I was like, okay. And I already had the fitness built up to play 80 minutes on the wing, especially because most of the time you're kind of just roaming around, waiting for the ball to get to you, and then the luxury of sometimes it doesn't get out to you, we'll get to the edge, and then one more pass. No pass, just get a ruck. And then I just roam around, try to look for work. But yeah, my transition to primarily wing was just sort of a necessity up at Central of we needed to get 23 guys out there and bring 2 9s. One of them is going to be on the bench. Why bring 3 9s and have 2 guys on the bench?
Yeah. And to kind of build on top of that. So Central has you listed at 175, and Dallas lists you at 205. So now you're on position playing. You packed on some muscle, man. So now you're really going to start running through people.
That 175 was my freshman year. I weighed in at 175. So obviously over 5 years, I'm putting on more weight. We're lifting every day, running every day, practicing every day, building strength, building muscle. But yeah, now I'm down to 195. Did my little preseason bulk, and now I'm coming down from it. But yeah, I'm still running as hard as I did back then.
Yeah. Don't get it twisted. Yeah, you are thicker now that that's brought up. I noticed it with some of the photos that I was looking through from Saturday's game. And I was like, oh man, he is bigger than I'm used to seeing. And strength-wise, it's not belly.
The camera definitely does me justice. I saw one of the pictures you posted on Instagram, and I was like, whoo. I was like, I know I'm not like that. I'm not that big.
Must be a filter.
Someone give me the editing script.
They say
someone give me the Photoshop.
Camera adds 10 pounds. Like, how many cameras were on me? Damn, that's fun. Oh man.
So what would be so? There's like there's I'm big on slogans, right? So you have like Seattle Rugby has the stuff people don't see, to keep it family friendly. But what's your personal slogan? Like, what is your mantra? Like, what kind of gets you like fit, ready to go? Like, what are the words that you kind of speak to yourself that are important to you?
Ooh, I mean,
I didn't see that one coming either.
You could take it.
Mack truck.
I mean, I guess if I had to think of something, I would think of something that Todd Thornley always, the coach up at Central, always used to tell me. It's control the controllables. Because like I can, for instance, this game this past weekend, wet, slippery, balls just going through hands, guys are tired, everyone's doing anything. I can't control any of those things, but what I can do is I can control, hey, I know it's wet, so I know I got to line up closer. I know I got to do this, I got to do that. So controlling things that I can control and understanding that there are going to be a lot of times where I can't do everything and some things I just got to let happen. So just, for me personally, I struggled a lot when I was younger of being really critical and hypercritical on everything that I did. And sometimes I would be very hypercritical on those things I couldn't control. Like if a teammate missed a tackle and a try was scored, I would get upset at myself. Like, oh, why didn't I go make that tackle? Why didn't I make that stop? And understanding that things are going to happen. It's a sport. You're not always going to beat everyone. You're not always going to goose egg everyone. And understanding that, hey, I might not have been able to make that tackle, but could I have done something different to give them confidence to make the tackle?
How would you guys goose egg on Saturday?
Yeah. Oh, Boise got one, a goose egg.
In their defense, they did travel and they were missing a lot of their main guys. I mean, they showed up to the game, I think, 18, 19 players.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not
those are great guys. Those are great guys, too, that we got to meet up with.
They were. Yeah, a couple of them got nominated at the Hall of Fame dinner that we had afterwards. And man, they're just good people. Yeah. Just really good people. The Boise boys travel all the way out, go to the game, bust their humps, and got their asses handed to them straight up. And then still put on smiles and went out and socialized with the rest of us, and you would never know.
That's rugby, though, isn't it?
It really is. The sportsmanship is unmatched.
What's that like being in that situation? Have you ever been in a situation like that? You traveled really far, maybe it's the result didn't go your way, that sort of thing. Like what kind of goes through your mind after that?
Yeah, I've had a couple of those experiences. I mean, freshman year when we played St. Mary's, we played a 2-day. We played, I think it was San Diego State or UC Davis, actually. And then we played St. Mary's a couple days later, UC Davis, and then got pumped by St. Mary's at St. Mary's home field. It was like 50 or 60 to 5 or something.
Ouch.
And it was just, it's like one of those things where I said it was, at that time I was still struggling with the hypercritical of being kind of like, hey, why didn't I do anything better? Why didn't I do this or do that? And it was just understanding that's going to happen. I mean, we see the World Cup and we see these teams that have guys that are playing at the top level they can, and they're still losing 60, 70 points. And it's just understanding that some days you're on, some days you're off. And, I mean, for us, that was just an off day for us. And, it's also understanding that, like, we don't know what they did to prepare for it. So we don't know what Boise did to prepare for this game. And, honestly, a lot of the guys were talking about the scoreline, but then a lot of the guys didn't understand that they only had 18, 19 guys. They didn't travel two of their main starting guys or two of their main starting forwards. So, understanding that, we might have had a big opportunity. We might have had a big win this last weekend, or this past game. But when we played them the first time, we tied, and we had because I didn't play in the first game. From what I heard from the guys, we had a majority of the possession, and they didn't have a lot of line breaks, and we still tied them. So it's just every game's going to be different. Yeah. You could practice and do well all week, and then go out to the game and just lose it.
Yeah, fall on your face kind of thing.
Yeah.
What is one of your most memorable tours of rugby?
Interesting enough, I actually haven't been on a lot of tours. My high school club, Liberty, they would go on a UK tour a bunch, and they've done a long time, and I actually never went on one. Because
man,
it pees me off sometimes. It's like we'd always talk about it and then never did it. And then the year after I graduated, they went on a UK tour. All these guys that I had played with and that I was a captain of, then they went to UK, and I was like, "You kidding me?" But
sending you pictures. Hey,
you did go to New Zealand.
I did go to New Zealand, yeah, in a little exchange, and did school for a whole 2 years straight.
Nice.
But I guess if I had to say, I mean, obviously New Zealand was great. It really helped me become who I am now because it showed me a different level of rugby. But I think coming back, so I went to New Zealand, and then I came back and I did my first era tour, and I was 14 at the time, still kind of getting into higher level. And I think that's the most memorable one, just because at the time I still wasn't very big on contact. I didn't want I was just a small, scrawny kid. I mean, that's not a good picture, but picture will come up of just a small, scrawny kid. I was the same size, and I was terrified of like hitting big people. I'm gonna get smoked, and there goes a shoulder. My career's gonna be done. And one of my coaches, Coach Banner Hall, he goes, "You just gotta be a mongrel. Just go out there. If you get hurt, you get hurt. That's what we got trainers for." He goes, "Just go." And then since then, it's just been put the head down, hit, and if I hit him hard enough, it's not gonna hurt. That's the goal.
So when you went to New Zealand, so kind of walk us through how like rugby in New Zealand versus like obviously you were there for a while. I mean, learning and watching people there versus watching there's not really too much here, but walk us through the differences between the hit down there and it up here.
Yeah, I think the biggest sort of shock was just kind of like you hear about New Zealand, you hear about like Scotland, France, South Africa, where it's like the rugby powerhouses. But you never realize just how big rugby is until I was going to school, and at lunch, we're all in uniform. So we have nice pants, but polo shirts and all this stuff, little jackets. And I go out, and in this muddy field, there's just a group of 30 guys just diving in white shirts in the mud.
Oh.
And it was like you could see that like some guys, their shirts were just permanently stained. And I was like, whoa, like it's like this is just how deep it runs to them, that these kids are high school age, so 14 to 18, and they're going out at lunch in dress shoes, dress pants, a polo shirt, and still throwing shoulders and still getting disgustingly dirty, and then going to class covered in mud. And no one like said anything. No one was like talking about anything. It was just, oh, how was the little game? Oh, cool. Teachers are asking about it. No one's saying anything. You go to high school here, and it's like people show up with dirty clothes, and it's like they get weird looks, and it's just
This is part of the culture.
That's awesome. That's so awesome.
How long did you go to school with all of them?
4 months.
Wow. Okay.
So I left like 2 or 3 weeks before my 8th grade year ended, and then showed up like a week before my freshman year in high school started.
Dang, that's awesome. That's so awesome, dude. Just to have that experience.
Right.
We had kids from New Zealand come up and stay with us when I played rugby, and it was, I mean, they smoked us. They came up here and they traveled all that way. Our team got smoked so hard, but it's like
it was probably Triton High School.
It might have been.
Because that's who we've always done it with.
Yeah,
Is Triton every 3 years.
Yeah,
is what it was for a long time.
It was whoever Bullock had.
Yep. Christopher Burns is who was running it for a long time.
Bring him in, but yeah, it was an awesome experience, and have him come up and like just teach the culture down there, and like you talk about how rugby is like, it's like second nature down there, man. It's like NFL what?
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah, that was funny when they
Gridiron.
Oh, is that what they call it? I remember when they came in 2016 and we were billet and Seattle was on. It was a live game and we were sitting here at this table cooking it up for them and I was like, hey, you guys want the game on? Like Seattle's playing tonight downtown, blah blah blah, and they're like, no.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, tough crowd. I was like, hey, I got some recorded sevens of college ball. You guys want to watch that? And they're like, yeah, that'd be great. I'm like, oh, okay, made your stance without cussing. Nicely done. Yeah. Matter of fact, from that go around in 2016, which was my first experience with that you guys are talking about, we got to give shout out to Jaden
McNeil.
Yeah, because like he said, hey, say hi to Noah.
Yeah, he was actually so when I first met all those guys, he was. I can't remember how old I was at the time. Don't quote me on it, but he stayed at my house, so my family billeted him, but they also billeted another guy, Joe Johnson, plays for New England right now. If Jaden we billeted him, and then his family is the family that I stayed with when I went over there.
Oh, nice.
That's so cool. Yeah, I ran across some Facebook stuff of their interaction. It was great. It was great. Yeah, it's easy to keep up with those guys because like. I don't want to say it's easy because they're on the other side of the world. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but it makes you want to keep up with them just because of that bond that it was created. You know, I know Martin came up in 2016 with Sean, his oldest son, and then in 2019 they came again, and Martin stayed with us again. And Damien had already been down there in 2017 after graduation and stayed a month down there. And the experience of it all made such an impression on my son Damien that, I mean, how do you not keep up with those guys?
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a positive influence just as growing into who you are. And the life experience of going to the other side of the world and playing some footy. And then what I noticed with Damien, and tell me if you had similar experience or not, but like after you go down there and you're practicing with them and you're playing, did it take away some of the intimidation that otherwise you may have had being in your head a little bit?
A little bit. I mean, I was a little bit different because when I first started, there was no youth rugby. So I was elementary school trying to go up again with white shorts, running around and against 14, 15, 16-year-olds. So when I went, I wasn't kind of like the intimidation of being in a different place wasn't there. It was more of the like skills. Like I'm going to practice and I'm seeing these guys hit perfect crossfield kicks and I'm seeing these guys throw Sunny Bills at the back with not even a second thought, and I'm like, whoa. I was like, this guy still can't even pass my left very well. I haven't even tried to kick on the run. Didn't even ask me to do that. So I think the intimidation of being in the area wasn't what got me. It was that first game when I'm playing and I'm being forced to throw passes that I never even thought of when I was playing here.
That's a lot of fun.
That's crazy.
It's sort of kind of like a trial by fire of every game. They were just being forced to do more and more and more because that's what they were used to doing, and they obviously understood that I wasn't there yet. So they would come in, and then as we played more and more games, they got out, and then went from there.
Oh, man, the more the people you play with that have more experience, and just you want to put yourself against that.
Forces you to grow.
Less talent than you, man.
Yeah.
It's always the best.
What are you hoping to do in Dallas? What do you like impact wise? Like we talked earlier, who you want to play against and who you want to see and visit with after a game, most likely. What do you want to do in Dallas? What kind of impact? What kind of legacy you want to leave there?
I mean, obviously, a lot of the time when I talk to people, the first question they ask is, "Oh, like you're undersized, like you're not very not tall for a wing. Like how's that going to do anything?" And I think the biggest thing that I want is just like my legacy is just going to be that like he was just a grinder. Like, he just went in like there's I talked about the picture of me just tackling like a big guy. Like that's always been my thing of like whether you're 6'8" or 5'8", I'm gonna tackle you and I'm gonna run at you. So like my thing that I guess I want is sort of kind of like someone that I really, when I transitioned to wing, who I watched a lot was Cheslin Colby and now Kurtley Arnza for South Africa. Like them, like they're not super big, but they have such a big impact in the game because they just do what they do best. Like I know that I'm not gonna jump against a guy like Wright and win every time, but at least I'm gonna go up and make a contest. Like I'm gonna go up and I'm gonna put a chance on the ball and hope that I can cause some havoc rather than just sit back and wait.
So what's that like? Noah Wright, professional athlete.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I talked to my dad about it. So I got the call from it was actually Marcus who was the first one to let me know. He it got posted, and then he called me, and I heard about it, and I talked to him for a little bit. And I called my dad, and then went the whole kind of like rest of the afternoon just celebrating with some of the guys. And then it wasn't really until I woke up the next morning and I had like 120 plus Instagram requests from just random people that I'd never met. Whoa. And I was like, whoa. I was like, ooh, this is
wow, that's a real
deal.
deal.
It's a little bit different. Right? And then now when I walk around, everyone's like, oh, you know he's a pro athlete, right? It's like, oh.
Oh my God.
It's a good.
Yeah. That's right.
Or like the newspaper I worked for in Ellensburg, the Daily Record, they ran a story on me, Marcus, and Albie, because we were at the college, we got drafted, and then I'd walk around the store, and random people were like, oh, didn't I see you in the newspaper, right? And I was like, yeah, write for it. And they're like, no, I saw a story about you. But you're like pro now, right? Oh, yeah. And I'd just be out with friends, and they'd be like, oh, big guy.
Your mom said that. I ran into her about a week ago in Renton, and she brought that up in conversation about how you were so, trying to stay under the radar as long as you possibly could. And I don't blame you. 120, that's intimidating.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.